So you want to learn how to pan for gold? I can help with that. I'm going to start in this location. There's only a few inches of material and then it's just bedrock. I know there's gold in this location, so I should be able to find something decent here. I have high hopes for this pan. I was able to break a bunch of bedrock out. There was a lot of bedrock rotting down right there. It looks like it's going to be some pretty good material. Let's see what kind of gold's in here. Now what we need to do is stratify our material. All that means is we're going to let the water mix in with our dirt and get in between every single piece. Get it all wet, get it all mixed up. Give the gold the best chance it can to get to the bottom of your pan. You know, it's only the first pan, and I already regret getting my shoes wet. This water is really cold. You know, a lot of people, when they're stratifying the material, they swirl it. It's not something you should ever do, because what ends up happening is it takes your gold from up here at the point, in the spot that you know where it is, and it spreads it all over your pan. If you have a botella pan, you would want to swirl, but not with a regular gold pan. With a regular gold pan, just stick with your back and forth, side to side. Just keep it tilted a little bit, keep shaking, don't swirl it. You want to keep all that gold at the front of your pan, somewhere where you know it is. You don't want to be guessing on where it is. Gold panning's not a race. You don't have to rush through it. Just be smooth and calm, and you'll get there quickly. Just keep shaking it back and forth, washing that top layer of material off. You don't want to pull too far down. You just want to get what's on top, the lightest material. A good rule of thumb is, after shaking your material, wash it off 3 times and go back to shaking. When you've gotten your material down to just the black sand, what you got to do next is swirl it back. Rotate your pan slightly, just enough for the water to cover your black sand, and it'll pull a little bit of it back. Keep doing that, and eventually you'll get down to the bottom where the gold's hiding. There's a couple of ways to swirl your pan back. The classic way is just swirling it in a circle. A very delicate way is to put your pan forward, tip it forward a little bit, and pull straight back. This is the slowest method, but it is also the safest. I prefer a mixture of the two. I swirl it till it's at the top and pull it straight back. Swirl it to the top, pull it straight back. The reason I like to swirl it to the top and pull straight back is because it tends to rip too much material if I go in the full circle. It makes it harder to keep track of my gold, and I end up with too much gold down here at the bottom. A good way to figure out where the gold is hiding is to look at the water, especially during high water. Look for low pressure zones. If you see these areas where the water starts rippling up, starts swirling about, they're always behind some large structure, something that can stop the water flow and calm it down a bit, enough for the gold to fall out. Look for these low pressure zones. The entire section of it you can find gold in. The next place I'm going to dig is here where these little riffles are. These will act like the riffles in a sluice box. It's a very good gold trap. It allows the gold a chance to fall out of the current and have a protective spot to rest. Let's see what kind of gold's hiding here. Always stick your fingers in when you're starting off stratifying. Make sure you can get your fingers to the bottom. Make sure your material's all mixed up before you start washing any of the rocks off. Now, this is a tip I've only ever heard one time, but I've noticed it is true. You will have one hand that is stronger than the other, one wrist that is stronger than the other. So inevitably, your gold will shift to one side of your pan. It can separate your gold from heavies to lights. I'll show a few pans that have a very distinct separation in the material, and that is because one of my hands is stronger than the other. Do your best to try to keep it even. Don't powerhouse on one side. Just try to keep an even shake. Something you'll see a lot, and you'll hear people talking about a lot, is tapping up your gold. Tapping up your gold is tapping the top of your pan, and it brings all your gold to the very top. Whether it's spread out, it kind of packs it all up in one spot. But what people don't tell you is tapping the pan in different locations can move your gold to different areas. If I have my gold here, and I tap the very top while holding at 9 o'clock, tapping at 12 o'clock, my gold goes over to 11, well 10:30. If you're holding at 9 o'clock and you tap over here at 2 o'clock, your gold will go to 12. It's just an easy and simple trick to always know where your gold is. Even if you're finding good gold, don't be afraid to move around and look at a new spot. It's called gold prospecting for a reason. Even if you don't find anything, you still learn some valuable information. Was there any black sand where you were digging? Does the water look like it's been washing all the material out of that area? Is there even a low pressure zone there? Sometimes when prospecting, you'll either get rained out or you won't find any gold. Don't let that discourage you. Stick with it. Show up the next day. It's been raining quite a bit, so I haven't been able to get down to the river. So I'm at a creek. Gonna try out a new spot. I've never been to this creek before, so I'm gonna do some test pans around, see if I can find some gold. So I found this layer of rusty material. I'm gonna take a pan out of that, see what kind of gold's hiding in here. There's actually some pretty good gold in that pan. While these pieces are small, they're very chunky and very rough. These pieces of gold have not traveled very far. Anytime you see a rusty layer, or even just a change in the type of material, it's always a good idea to take a test pan. These rusty marks are indications that irons and heavy material has been deposited here. You always want to check for these spots because gold hides with other heavy materials. I think my next test pan is going to be the head of this inside bend. The inside bend is a great spot to look when prospecting. The water flows slower on the inside bend and it gives the gold and other heavies a chance to drop out of the water flow. Looks like I was able to get down to bedrock and get some pretty nice gold with that pan. This gold's really chunky. Beautiful piece of gold. There's something silver on there. And I hope that's not mercury. That is a nice, chunky, raw piece of gold. When prospecting, it's good to pay attention to what kind of gold you're finding. Whether it's flat or coarse, it can tell you how close you are to the source. And if you're lucky enough, you might even be able to find the source. Also, your black sand will also be a good indication. The coarser the black sand, the coarser the gold. The finer the black sand, the finer the gold.